I certainly believe that the instant payment or digital payment is the way to go. The mobility of cash is very slow, and the cost of cash is also extremely very high. I think that the digital payment will ultimately eliminate, if not, reduce cash, not eliminate, but will reduce cash significantly within the society. Thank you very much. I think, like you've rightly noted, Nigeria has done very well in the area of payment. And since the creation of NIPS, where I work, it was put together as a shared platform to help lower costs of doing business. And since that was done, a lot of things have been centralized. And to also deal with the issue of identifying people on the platform in terms of payment, we created the BVN, which enables people to get into the financial service sector. It's a functional ID, while we have the foundational ID, which is the NIN used in Nigeria. And with the BVN, at least shared within the ecosystem among the banks, that helped to create a more secured way of transacting financially and identifying those who are transacting and what you are doing. So principally, NIPS have helped to lower costs for the players within the financial ecosystem by providing a shared infrastructure. And within that space as well, we created the NIPS instant payment, which pioneered a kind of revolution across the world, because in Nigeria, it's not easy to get credit for especially the SMEs. What they need, therefore, to restock and to do business is just an instant credit, instant value in their account. And the NIP was put together by NIPS to ensure that this is provided to the entire population as a way of receiving a payment as against relying on cash as a means of payment. Okay, I certainly believe that the instant payment or digital payment is the way to go. The mobility of cash is very slow, and the cost of cash is also extremely very high. If I need to send money to my maybe grandmother in the village, how do I send that if I'm going to send cash? That's why I said the mobility is very slow and affects the delivery process. But the only way you can achieve that effective mobility and delivery is through the digital payment, which is the instant payment. So I see a situation where there's going to be more deeper adoption of digital payment across the world, and then a lesser emphasis on cash, because with cash you have numerous problems. You have to count the cash, you have to ensure insurance, you have to ensure the cost of cash is low, you have to move cash from point A to B. But with instant payment or digital payment, straight on your mobile device or any other device that have been created for it, then the money moves within milliseconds and it's instant value that is given. So I think that the digital payment will ultimately eliminate, if not, reduce cash, not eliminate, but will reduce cash significantly within the society. Yeah, it was more of a design approach. So we had a design approach, and then we had collaboration among all stakeholders to understand the design of what needed to be done. And of course, you have to have players in the ecosystem who will adopt and see the value to it. So that design process have helped. And most of the things we've done so far in Nigeria, like the QR code payment in Nigeria, is instant payment as well, instant settlement. But most of the merchants derive a lot more value from instant payment. Recently, we just launched the domestic card, which is called the Afrigo scheme. It's live and it's working. And one of the value Afrigo also have brought to the table is instant T+0, instant settlement on POS transaction. We are the first country in the world to do that. And we are doing that to also deal with the issue associated with credit. So if you are selling, you need value, you have your value immediately. So to a very large extent, the value and the benefit for digital payment is extremely very high. Another area the central bank has helped is in the area of SANEF. And what does SANEF do? SANEF has created a pool of agents across the country with POS devices that are helping to bring banking closer to the people in the rural area. And what they do, you can go to an agent and have a bank account open. You can get your card from there. You can withdraw. You can deposit from the agent. So the SANEF, working with the central bank, has actually reduced the cost of banking. So you don't need a huge infrastructure. You just have an agent. It could be in a store or just one corner within a neighborhood, and people come to you and then provide a lot of get financial services, as well as withdraw money or transfer money is a lot more easier if you don't have a smartphone. So that's a delivery channel that has also helped to see the increased adoption within the Nigerian payment landscape. In G2P, the government has been paying a whole lot of palliative and social benefit to citizens, the poor of the poorest. Once they are determined, they rely on the NIP rail, no matter the party they are working on, to make sure that this is delivered to the various accounts. And today in Nigeria, the P2P is extremely very, very high in terms of payment. It runs into millions of transactions on a daily basis. So the adoption of the P2P is very high. Again, still within a certain population, but the revolution that is coming ahead with the QR code, especially with collaboration with the card rail in terms of the Afrigo, is going to leave this. We expect about 200 to 300% adoption, because even those who don't have digital phones will automatically be accommodated using their QR code, which is on the Afrigo card, and that will enable those instant payments. So you're going to, for the bills payment, of course, bills payment are going on. We have the e-bills application. The APIs are available for people to integrate. We also have the NIPS direct debit, which is also available to people for direct debit instructions and payment. And a lot of user cases have been built around that, and a lot of the API has been consumed by our partners, and then providing offering. Most of the things that it also provides is instant payments as well as instant settlement, especially for the e-bills. So most of the utility providers are using the e-bills for their collection process, and even some government agencies are also using the e-bills for collection, payment collection across the country. There were challenges, of course. There's always challenges with new things. One of the major challenges we faced was that of trust. People have always trusted cash more than any other channel, but gradually we had to deal with the issue of trust by making sure that performance is high, settlement is real, and everything was happening, and people started trusting it. The other challenge is in the area of adoption. Adoption is critical. Most people still don't understand why it has to be digital, but you find out that within the youthful population, there's a lot more adoption as they get involved and try it out. So we're seeing all that apply. Then the other area, again, is cyber security issues, people trusting and then ensuring that there is a safety net to transaction protection for their transactions, and the security of password and then username and so on. So that we also dealt with by assuring people and ensure that the fraud level or any wrong delivery of the payment is zero and next to nothing, just to build the trust component. Then the other area is on the area of network. When you have the network areas where network is not readily available, then you have issues around that in terms of the delivery. Because all these points have mentioned, we also dealing with them in terms of different approaches, like for adoption and then trust matter, a whole lot of engagement going on in that area, creating awareness and creating benefits in terms of getting instant value. It is cheaper to have money in your bank account to carry out some other activities rather than collecting cash, going to the bank, counting money, spending time there, and then lodging it in. That creates a delay and cost as well. So we continue to create those awareness. And then the other way we've also dealt with it is the area of working with a coalition, what I call coalition of the willing. Not everybody will be willing, but for those who are willing, start off with them. Let them continue to use the delivery channels and so on. And from there, you have more and more increasing the adoption of the payment platform. I think the next stage for the country is to accelerate adoption and financial inclusion, bring in a lot of the financially excluded people, provide a safety net, and provide means where they can trust the digital payment process across the country. I think that's the next stage. That's what we're working on. Then you have the open banking framework, which has just been released by the central bank. And as we adopt that and then deepen that within the country, then we're going to see a whole lot of activities around that space. Then you look at the local as well as the cross-border interoperability, which was something we are working on, or we've already done that with PAPS to connect all the African businesses together in terms of payment. So those are the things that you're going to see. And right now, we're working with NIMSI, the National Identity Management Commission of Nigeria, to layer identity and payment together. Right? And once that is done, that would, of course, deepen so you know who you are paying, deal with the issue of KYC. I mean, it's there right now, but to further deepen and bring the services in terms of payment closer. And it will also help the G2P, which the government is really pushing very well. G2P to reach the people in rural areas, reach different people. And that's so you need identity, of course, for the payment to be deemed not successful, but efficient. And then you can have a whole lot of dashboard, a whole lot of presentation around who gets what, and also monitor the life cycle of those individuals. So those are the kind of things you'll be seeing very soon. And what I see with the launch of Afrigo and the various use cases around Afrigo in Nigeria, which means you don't really need a smartphone to get to penetrate, because you're going to have a card with everything that you need, and that card just opens up a Pandora box, or just the card opens up a box full of opportunities for you. And then with that, you can access payments or access anything you want to do. And we're trying to, the card is being designed to work in an offline mode, so you don't need to be online to have that. And in the next 2 months, you're going to have that card provide instant settlement to merchants at every location. So once I put the card on the POS machine, automatically, by the time I'm removing the cash, you're getting credit. So we expect all this to deeply drive adoption of the digital payment system. In December, for instance, for the first time in the company's history, there was no freeze. We continued our job, and of course, there was not a single issue. That's the level of maturity that the payment platform have reached in Nigeria today. No freeze, no issues, seamless across the whole country. And that is just to increase the trust level. And since we've done that, we've been seeing growth trajectory across the payment platform. Okay, my words of advice is very simple. They have to be bold, they have to be determined, and they also have to focus on the goals, and they shouldn't expect to convince everybody. You can start with the coalition of the willing. Not everybody gets to see the vision. So if you have 2, 3 people who are seeing the vision with you, just start the process. But one thing I'm sure of is that the younger generation look forward to a digital payment and a seamless payment. The stress of cash is enormous. The cost of cash is enormous. So there's no other alternative than to go completely digital and then work with relevant partners, create platform, work with the telcos in every country to ensure that at least the network is stable and is available. Then also find various ways without the smartphone to ensure that this the digital delivery system of the payment is done. And of course, if they want to visit Nigeria and they need assistance from NIBS, we're available to also educate them and assist them in terms of setup, in terms of what they want, and then they can come and learn from Nigeria with respect to what we've done in the past over 25 years in the payment space. And the central bank in Nigeria has been very, very supportive, and the government as well. So for the countries to succeed in this journey, they need the buy-in of their central bank and the buy-in of the government. We have been very lucky in Nigeria that government is fully in support of the digitalization, as well as the Central Bank of Nigeria. Payment is layered on identity. It's very, very important. Don't try to go payment without identity. So the identity of the population of whoever is coming within your payment rail or payment space is very, very important. That will help you deal with the issue of KYC, will deal with the issue of transparency, will deal with the issue of fraud. And if processes are centrally managed, then automatically you'll be lowering costs of providing financial services. And whatever design is, we must not focus on those with the smartphone or those who live in the cities, but we must also consider those people in the rural areas. Don't leave them behind. How are you going to serve them? How are you going to bring them on board? How are you going to make them trust the process? How are they going to make payment without hindrances and without frustration? So those are very important processes. And again, we don't lose our culture. We don't lose our environmental dependencies. In Nigeria, for instance, people like instant payment. They just want to get their value right now. So you have to factor in some of those cultural dependencies or issues in the delivery of this channel. So those are extremely very, very important. And of course, keep your eyes on the ball. You have to monitor the systems, monitor the process, and have a very robust product team. And don't neglect your partners. Partners are very important within the ecosystem. Share your APIs, make sure that the sandbox is available for people to test anything you want to test, a robust certification process, and then you encourage the partners to innovate and provide value to the citizens.